The Deputy has 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I listened very intently to Deputy Stanley and his round-the-house ramblings over the last 10 minutes, ending up with a rather nonsensical approach to the issue of natural resources without having any regard to the fact that contracts and legal positions are in place and that there are rights attached to them. Granted, there may be a possible future reform that could be done, but at least acknowledge that there is damage that has been done over a long period of time that can't be unreversed. He then said it is these types of policies that will sort out the jobs crisis in this country. I only heard one, to do with natural resources. I didn't hear anything about jobs. I didn't hear anything about the economy. And I heard him berate the government and say that we need to start focusing on jobs and investment. This government announced a stimulus package only a few months ago, the first part of a stimulus package of €2.25 billion over the next number of years, building hospitals, building schools, putting money into the economy. That's jobs. That's practical. That's something that is tangible and on the ground. He then said that the bill was undemocratic because it gave powers to Europe. What the bill does is put in place rules that the public agreed to in a referendum that were passed by the people. So, I mean, if you're annoyed that the people didn't support it, that's your right. But saying that it's undemocratic for us to implement legislation which the people passed is 60-40 in a referendum is, quite frankly, more nonsense. Nonsense that has been coming from the Sinn Féin party for a very long time. At the general election, you told us that we didn't need the IMF, that we could, and the EU and the ECB, that we were perfectly capable of supporting the economy on our own, that we would be perfectly fine. You were very quick to change that when the election was over and it was no longer politically tenable, economically tenable, or frankly, something you could stand over at all. You went into the last budget with your alternative budget, which you waved around here and said there's another way, which upon closer analysis recently of your wealth tax proposals, show that it's based on an absolute fantasy. It's based on reports that are out of date. It's based on a Merrill Lynch report that is inaccurate. And quite frankly, no economist who's looked at it in any detail has said it's plausible. And then you went around the houses during the last. You went around. They said that there's merit. There will certainly be some fundraising, but not the 800, nowhere near the 800 million that you're trying to do, which, quite frankly, you're putting on the record and you're putting out to propose simply because you're unwilling to take a tough decision and to have one unpopular decision on your record of supporting a property tax, which every left-wing social democratic party in Europe accepts is a necessary part of funding for any state coffers because it's reliable, it's even, and it can be predicted into the future. The second thing was you went around during the ESM treaty, something that is extremely important for this country, which is the basis of this bill, the ESM treaty. The ESM treaty basically says that if we're spending too much that we don't have, you have to reduce it over time, and if you've borrowed too much, you have to try and reduce that over time. That's the basics of it. There may be more to it. There may be more to it, but that's the basics of it. Like, please let me speak. Please let me speak. You can heckle all you want, but at least I didn't interrupt you once during your nonsense. I didn't interrupt you once. But what it also did was it said that countries who got in trouble in the future, the people who got in trouble in the future would be able to borrow money. That's what it said. It said if you run out of money in the future, there'll be a fund there for you, and you wanted the people, Irish people, to veto that fund at a time when the state coffers are in severe crisis. That's what you wanted. But then you said that actually, hold on, closer to the date, because you knew people didn't believe you. You said, oh, actually, no, people, we will be able to borrow from us. They'll have to lend to us. If that is not the most economically reckless policy, economically reckless stance of any party to come into, I mean, a Democratic Party elected and coming in here and telling people fibs, basically, or chance it, give it a go, you never know.
1 minute.
Thank you, Chair. On the basis of...
Please, Deputy Stanley.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Deputy Stanley. I'll debate that with you another time. The other thing I'll say is that you've said that we haven't changed policy. This government has changed policy. We've got a different policy in the banks. We've got a different policy in jobs, and we are making adjustments to the taxation system to make them fair. But what this government is doing is actually have to acknowledge that there's an economy out there, that there is a domestic economy, there's a public sector that needs to be looked after, there are different stakeholders, and believe it or not, this government has to realise that electoral gain and populism cannot be its driving force, unlike Sinn Féin, which is simply exploiting people's fears, using the terrible circumstances that families are in as a basis for electoral growth. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, history will not look back favourably on the Sinn Féin party when this terrible part of Irish economic history is written on by the historians. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Deputy Nolan.